All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, with the start of the 2022 NFL season right around the corner, who has what it takes to win the NFC West? And I want to start off with the Los Angeles Rams. And the biggest question is, will complacency set in for the Rams, or will they become the first team since the 2004 New England Patriots to win consecutive Super Bowl titles? Now, quarterback Matthew Stafford, it looks like a different player now that he is no longer with the Detroit Lions. Of course, hands down, last year was the best team that Stafford ever played on throughout his NFL career. And of course, the rest was history as the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl. You look at the talent that he has around them, first of all, the Rams' ability to run the football, and that's going to be important this year because they didn't run the ball well coming down the stretch of the regular season and into the postseason. They got to be a little bit better running the football this year, which means Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, and Cam Akers are going to have to do their thing. But this Rams passing game is as good as it comes. Cooper Kupp had a season of seasons last year when you think about pass catchers in the NFL. 145 receptions, nearly 2,000 receiving yards, and 16 receiving touchdowns during the regular season. Not to mention how he took over in the second half of the Super Bowl following the injury to Odell Beckham. You also have Van Jefferson and then the former Chicago Bear, Allen Robinson. And I think he'll fit in great with this Rams offense. As you're talking about a guy that if you put too much attention on Kupp, Allen Robinson can burn you. And if you put too much attention on the Ram receivers, you still have to worry about Tyler Higbee at tight end. One thing to keep an eye on for the Rams, their offensive line. No more Andrew Whitworth up front. And that's going to be important because you have to find a way to protect a veteran quarterback like Mr. Stafford. Now, defensively, Los Angeles did lose Von Miller in free agency to the Buffalo Bills. So that they're one edge rusher down, but you still have Leonard Floyd and you also have Aaron Donald. And of course, Donald took over late in that Super Bowl alongside Von Miller, but at the same time, it's a scenario where, you know, well, Aaron Donald's a guy that's going to consistently get double and triple team because he's one of the best to have ever done it from the D tackle position. So that's going to open other guys up. So it's going to be interesting and it's going to be important for those players to make those plays for the Rams. Now, Bobby Wagner is a very interesting story right here. The longtime Seahawks middle linebacker was released and he signed with his hometown team. And you figure Bobby Wagner stayed in the NFC West. He's a veteran player that's been getting it done at a high level for a very long time. And more importantly, he gives the Rams another leader on that unit. Jalen Ramsey in that secondary, he's one of the best cover corners in the NFL. But at the same time, he does get beat sometimes when he plays the elite receivers. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on heading into this season as well. So you ask yourself, will anything prevent the Rams from repeating? I think first and foremost, you have to worry about complacency. Number two, the Rams have to understand that they're no longer the hunter as they're going to be the hunted, meaning they're going to play the Super Bowl 17 times during the regular season because every other team wants what they have, and every other team that they face is going to use the Rams as a litmus test, which means that the Rams have to be prepared for that. Right out of the chute, the Rams host the Buffalo Bills, and there are some people who feel like this could be a potential Super Bowl preview in week number one. Week number three, the Rams will be in Arizona against the Cardinals. Week four, they're at San Francisco. And remember, in spite of the Rams beating the Niners in the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl, San Francisco won both regular season matchups last year. Week number five, the Rams will host Dallas, which will be a big one as far as it goes with NFC heavyweights. Week eight, they host San Francisco, which is interesting because now You get both of those meetings with the 49ers out of the way in the first half of the season. Week number 9 at Tampa, and that's big because coming off of that meeting with San Francisco, now you have to travel to face Tampa, the team that you eliminated in the second round, and they're looking to get back to the Super Bowl as well. And then another key one, week number 10 at Arizona. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out for Los Angeles this year. The San Francisco 49ers, and so close, yet so far for the Niners, who will begin this upcoming season knowing how close that they were to winning it all last year. And I mean, if you go back to that NFC Championship game for the 49ers, it just screams of heartbreak. But it's the Trey Lance show now at quarterback for San Francisco, as it's no more Jimmy G. And you had to expect this day that it was going to be coming because the Niners not only drafted Trey Lance in the first round of the 2021 draft, they also traded up to get him. And typically, when teams do that, you know that they see something for the potential of that youngster. Now, around Trey Lance and the 49ers love his athleticism. You have one of the better rushing teams in football. And it starts with who San Francisco has up front with Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey on that offensive line. Debo Samuel, he's a playmaker. Whether he's a running back, whether he's a receiver, the bottom line is this guy knows how to make plays. And the 49ers are going to run the football a ton with the likes of Debo Samuel and Elijah Wilson. So this Niners offense will once again be fun. And then if you focus on the ground game for the Niners, Debo can beat you as a receiver, but then you also have to worry about George Kittle, who is second to none in regards to tight ends in the NFL, and Brandon Ayuk, who is another dangerous player at the wide receiver position for San Francisco. And then what at the end of the day, with all of that said, the Niners' bread and butter is still their defense. And D'Amico Ryans has made it a smooth transition from Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator. San Francisco still knows how to rush the passer with the best of them. And when you think about the 49ers pass rush, you look up front to the likes of Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead. And then you have to love what you're getting from Fred Warner in at the middle linebacker position. And what the Niners are able to do with their front seven, it really predicates things for that back four. So it's going to be interesting to see the transition for the 49ers this year from Jimmy G to one Trey Lance. Now, for the Arizona Cardinals, they need to find a way to play both halves of the season. The last couple of years, they started off so strong and they faded. And they were able to get to the postseason last year, but they were injured. And then, of course, they ran into the Rams in the wild card round, and then the rest was history. Now, for quarterback Kyler Murray, it's been a very interesting offseason, like a love, almost like a love-hate relationship. Tried taking a little bit too far with that, but it's been like that with him in the front office with the Cards. He got his money. Then you're hearing about clauses in his contract. They're taking out clauses, but at the end of the day, they're going forward with number one under center for the Birds. Now, one thing that Kyler Murray has to improve on: 106 times in just 46 games played in the NFL, he's been sacked. That's not going to get it done. The health of Duke Hopkins at wide receiver, and of course, he missed the stretch run for Arizona last year with the knee injury. He's a veteran wide receiver. And when receivers start to get knee injuries at this point of their career, you have to wonder how much more they have in the tank. So let's see what the Cards can get out of one Duke Hopkins this year. You still have Zach Ertz at tight end, whom you acquired from the Philadelphia Eagles last season. And then this Cardinals defense, J.J. Watt rushing the passer. How much does he have left in the tank? They lost Chandler Jones as he's now a Raider, but you still have Isaiah Simmons and Buda Baker as playmakers in that back seven. So it's going to be interesting for what Cliff Kingsbury and his bunch can do as they look to keep up in the AFC West. Week number 1, the Cards host the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at Las Vegas in week number 2. They host the Rams in week number 3. And then after week number 10, the Cardinals, they're going to have to go through the gauntlet. So it's going to be a tough stretch for them to see if they can find a way to get back to the postseason for the second consecutive year. And finally, there's the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks are officially in rebuild mode. Russell Wilson, a longtime quarterback and the greatest quarterback in the franchise's history, is now a Denver Bronco, and longtime middle linebacker Bobby Wagner is a Ram. So for Pete Carroll, what do you do? One part of the trade for Russell Wilson, you get a young quarterback from the Broncos and Drew Lock. And in 21 starts in the NFL, he was 8-13 with Denver with 25 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. So let's see what happens for him now in the Pacific Northwest. He'll have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to work with at wide receiver, and that's going to be important, as well as tight end Noah Fant, who came over with him in the Russell Wilson trade. But what hampered the last few years of Russell Wilson's career with the Seahawks were issues on the offensive line for Seattle, and those issues are still there. Now, you have Jamal Adams, one of the better strong safeties in the NFL, but he likes to play more in the front seven. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Seahawks use him, and also if he's going to be a part of trade discussions at some point this year. It's going to be an uphill battle all year long for the Seahawks. I mean, of course, a lot of people have penciled that week one meeting with Denver, but the bottom line is Seattle is in rebuild mode, and they're not going to be able to keep up with the powers in this division this year. So we saw the NFC West get three teams into the postseason last year. I think they'll flirt with it once again. I think that the Niners and Rams are definitely locks to make the playoffs. I think that the Rams will win this division. It's a situation where, the Niners and Rams are two very good teams, but I think that Super Bowl experience will not slow this Rams team down. I think they're a veteran team, and they're strong enough in that locker room, led by people like Donald, to go out there and repeat. And then bringing over a veteran like Bobby Wagner from the Seahawks is going to be huge. Not to say that the Niners can't get it done. I mean, you look at them last year; they came as a wild card, and they got to the NFC Championship game. And you look at this team; they're loaded again. And I think as the season progresses, San Francisco is going to get better, and more importantly, I think Trey Lance is going to get better as the season progresses as well. But make no mistake about it, I think we're in store for some exciting action in the NFC West this season, and I'm going to go with the Rams to repeat as division champs. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line to be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.